Good morning. I'm experimenting with the lag this morning. How long before I turn on my camera and hit live, before I show up and really am live. So, good morning. Welcome to Brewing Happiness, and another day, another cup of coffee, another quick little chat about what makes us tick, what keeps us happy, how do we keep working on choosing happiness in our lives every day. And so today I've been thinking a lot about intuition. I always felt like, I just never really had much psychic powers, right? I really felt like I really didn't have any kind of ESP or intuition. And yet sometimes I know things, sometimes I feel things, sometimes I just, kind of get a feeling of knowing and I don't know where it comes from. So I thought I would look up intuition and see what I could learn about my own intuition, as I have this feeling that there's something going on here and I maybe am just not understanding what it is. So what is intuition? Well, sometimes we use the word instinct and intuition interchangeably. And while they're similar, there's a crucial difference, right? Instinct or impulse is physical. It's a biological tendency. It's something that's built into us. Intuition is an accumulated belief. It's basically your gut feeling. Instinct, or intuition, is really that gut feeling or that ability to understand something immediately without actually consciously processing it, right? It's something we know, but we don't know how we know it, and we didn't even know we knew it until one moment when suddenly we know it, right? You didn't think about it. You didn't figure it out. It's just there. Good morning, Debbie. Intuition is basically, in what I've been reading, is the gut feeling. Intuition in almost all of us is located in our solar plexus, in our gut. And it's a physical reaction or a physical, I don't know what to call it, feeling, even though it is not biological. It is something that's happening in your brain. It's the moment that you sense how someone's feeling or what they're thinking. You don't know why. Maybe you just feel this feeling. It just came to me. I don't know. Intuition is a process that gives us the ability to know something directly without using analytic reasoning, right? It's bridging the gap between our conscious and our unconscious thoughts. It's the space between reason and instinct, right? Because you're using your brain, but you're not really thinking. You're feeling your instinct. That's the gut, right? You're feeling something physical. But again, it's a form of knowledge that appears without deliberation. Is it magic? I don't know. Or is it just a developed sixth sense where hunches begin in your unconscious mind? And then your brain is such an amazing machine, so amazing that your brain, you have a thought appears, your brain sifts through it, it accesses your memories, your experience, it pulls together all the patterns it can recognize, and it makes immediate conclusions. And you are not really aware of the thought process from the moment the thought hits your brain to the conclusion jumps into your brain. It's instantaneous. Now, like again, intuition appears in our brain and we don't really know how it got there, right? How our thoughts or feelings were processed. Okay, scientists have shown in multiple studies that information can register in our brain without conscious thought, and it can positively influence our thinking and our decision making. Hi, I'm from the UK. Welcome, Hazel. Yay, yay, yay. This is so fun. We're talking about intuition this morning. Now, studies have shown, in multiple studies have shown that we have the ability to, again, register conscious thoughts. Psychologists believe that intuition is the power of patterns and pattern matching mixed with your experiences. So in your brain, you have your file room of experiences, right? Every memory that you've ever created is there somewhere, and it's in our long-term memory. And again, when we go through a little intuition, our little records keeper is in there pulling stuff out of drawers and comparing things, and in the blink of an eye, helping us organize our thoughts and put them in alignment and perspective with what we know and what we've learned from a lifetime of experiences. And this is it allows us to reach the most likely scenario, but we skip the process of actual thinking. If you ever did this, but maybe this happened to you, you drive the same path to work every day, and one day you're in your driveway, but you have no actual thought of how you got the last 2 miles home, right? You have no memory of driving, of watching the train, of making the turn, of paying attention to traffic. And yet you're home, you did it. But that's the same kind of automatic processing where your brain can just kind of go into autopilot and do things with your not really driving, right? Not really making it happen. Even though we reach these conclusions instantaneously, the truth is they're packed with emotional intensity, and that's what makes a difference of just a thought that reaches us, or what you would call an intuition, right? They're packed with emotional intensity because your brain is predicting and preparing you for what comes next. And beyond psychology, I mean, intuition has been around a long time, right? Steve Jobs said it's more powerful than intellect. But Warren Buffett said it powers every market decision that I make. Richard Branson prefers it to stats and data. And Albert Einstein called it the only real valuable thing. So, now there are studies. For the best study, according to the EOC Institute, the best proof for intuition comes from Cornell University. And physicist turned psychologist, Dr. Daryl Bem, did an experiment. Well, you remember the opening scene of Ghostbusters, where they're looking at cards and trying to say whether the card has a square or a star or a circle on it. And then Dr. Venkman would, zap the young man and flirt with the young girl, right? Well, a study very similar to that is exactly what Dr. Bem did. Over 1,000 participants, and it lasted over decades. Decades. Dr. Bem showed that humans could sense, not predict, but sense the future. 1,000 hours. And because his findings were so explosive, so paradigm shifting, the doc waited until he reached 74 billion to 1 statistical certainty. Now, if you know anything about statistics, that's a lot of testing. Usually statisticians are pretty good with a 95%, 95% statistical certainty. 95% sure. This guy, 74 billion to 1. He says, I'm not publishing anything because it was so amazing. And apparently the actual science of what he learned is just a little too sciencey for us. Okay. They didn't even explain it in the articles I read because you have to be a scientist to understand them. But they did translate it to say that what they discovered is that we each have a spidey sense. The spidey sense, you don't have to be bit by a spider. We all have it. And the stronger your antennae, the better it can help you in your life. And the good news is we can grow our antennae. We can develop our intuition. We can learn to pay attention and utilize this very real sixth sense that we are given, right? This very real spidey sense that tells us what that it is. Basically, it's not magic. It's not even otherworldly or we're not even going to explain it through talking about gifts and whispers from other dimensions. We'll leave spirit guides and angels for another day. We're really just going to talk brain science here, right? This is going on in your brain. Now, the science we can't understand, they explain it this way. In your brain, we have what's called the axis of intuition, and it is located in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Side note, if you watched yesterday's show and we talked about affirmations and why daily affirmations, saying things to ourselves, works, it's because it stimulates the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. And now we learn this is where intuition lives. Now, in X-Men, I'm not huge comic book fan, but I live around a bunch of them, so I accidentally know a bunch of things about the Marvel world or the DC comics. I can't tell which is which. Anyway, in the X-Men, Dr. X, he calls on his psychic power. He rubs his temples here, and then from the middle of his forehead shoots all this energy shoot in all directions. Well, it turns out this right here in the middle of our forehead is where the ventromedial let me see if I can say that right. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex is located. X really does mark the spot, right? Oh, and what about? And I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but let's just comment. That's where our third eye is located, our sixth chakra, right? Turns out there is physical evidence that there's something happening in this spot right here. And it's not just about intelligence. This is intuition. Studies show that people with super high IQs who have damage to their intuitive, the VVPEC, I just can't, VMPEC, it's too long, ventromedial prefrontal cortex. I just can't say anymore. They have trouble making decisions. They have trouble with being gullible or being impulsive or being easily deceived, because this is where critical thinking is happening right here. This is where intuition is happening, and we're trying to separate them. But critical thinking is happening all over in your brain. Intuition is, it's happening so fast you can't even feel it. You don't even know what's going on. So, building our intuition. What if we want more intuition? Like I said, I'm feeling like I don't really have much going on, but I'm wanting more. I want more. So I want to know how. Because this show, I do this show for me, right? I'm so happy you all are here and that you are enjoying the information. But I ask the questions I kind of want to know. I would love to ask the questions you want to know. Something you got, let me know. Drop me a line, give me a comment. Let me know what sounds like fun to learn about. But for me, it was intuition today. So I wanted us to learn how we could build our intuition. So if you want to you want to be more intuitive, have more intuition, you crank up the VMPEC right there. Same thing, ventromedial prefrontal cortex. And by the way, science has offered us a proven way to do this. So in 2014, Wake Forest University study looked at the brains of volunteers 15 minutes before and after mindfulness training, right? And you guessed it. Mindfulness training, meditation increases the activity and the interconnectivity of your ventromedial prefrontal cortex. It turns out meditation, mindfulness links us directly to our sometimes elusive but super powerful intuition muscle, as well as helping us to learn to trust it. And from everything I read, it's really, really very simple. learn to trust your gut. Your intuition is all about your gut. And the secret to learning to read and trust your gut is meditation. So this was a really simple answer. There wasn't a whole lot of differences here on everything I read. Meditation is the answer that came up as number one on how to get in touch with your intuition. There were a few other suggestions, but honestly, meditation, right? And you can mend. We talked about damaged intuition, or maybe it's blocked or broken. You can mend it. Maybe your intuition was just never developed. I'm from Missouri. I grew up with an attitude of, you have to show me. I don't know, maybe you were taught not to trust things you could not see or prove, right? Maybe you learned that you needed to be able to explain your decisions, why you do something, and what your logical thought processing was happening to get you there, right? Maybe you thought it was sorcery or magic. Maybe you just ignored it because you're like, that's just, I don't want to think about that. You just thought it was magic. Or maybe you allow depression or anxiety that can get in between you and your intuition. If you're emotionally blocked, if you're not vibrating at your highest level, right? You may not be able to hear that little still voice inside. No matter what, meditation is still the answer. Now, I'm not going to talk about meditation today, even though it was, again, consistently and sometimes the only solution offered in how to improve your intuition. It was the go-to answer, and every other answer kind of revolves around it. I'm not going to talk meditation today because it's such a big subject. I'm thinking it's a whole show, right? I do want to talk about meditation. It's a whole show. We're not going to learn to meditate today. We're just going to say, go get you some meditation. It'll help with your intuition, right? But it is the key. But here's some things you can also do as you're beginning to meditate. Start noticing what you can with your other five senses, the ones you're pretty familiar with already, right? Being aware, just listening, sensing, seeing, hearing, tasting, being aware of those senses and what they are telling you in each moment is feeding your intuition. Because remember, your intuition is just your brain taking all your experiences and very quickly making up a decision. So the more you're aware of that input, right? The more you're aware of the input all around you, and then start paying attention to, again, the gut reaction to all that sensory input. It's going to train you to pay attention to your intuition, right? Next, pay attention to your dreams. Our dreams are that's where we process the day's events, right? Where our thoughts and emotions. I got a comment from Hazel. Look at it. I love it. Yes, I do. Emotionally blocked, racing mind. Yes. And that can help you keep you from being in touch with your intuition. And so, again, paying attention to dreams. With our conscious mind out of the way, sometimes in the sleep state, our mind is going about the business of making sense of our lives. It's saying all these things happened to me today, and it's, again, your little steward is filing them, putting them, categorizing them, making connections, making patterns, making insights, and that's all going on in your dream state. I recently had an opportunity to spend an afternoon with a lady who was a professional psychic and professional dream consultant. I don't know what to call her. She helped you interpret your dreams. And she said it's very easy to remember your dreams. Number one, tell yourself, I always remember my dreams. Well, talked about affirmations yesterday, right? So just start changing that. I never remember my dreams. Change that inner thought. Tell yourself, I always remember my dreams. When you fall asleep at night, the last thing say, I'm going to have a rich dream night tonight, and I'm going to remember it in the morning. Then leave a little pad and paper by your bed, and the first thing when you wake up, just make some notes. You might not remember every detail of the dream. Just make some notes. Again, we're just kind of bridge the gap between conscious and unconscious, right? We're just trying to think our way through, make sense of what's happening in this very busy chatter that's going on up here. All right. Next, observe your energy levels. Does being around someone make you feel tired or drained? Or does somebody make you feel energetic and happy, right? Sometimes people are called energy vampires, and they drain our energy. Intuition can start helping you identify, protect yourself. Make sure you're hanging out with and spending time with those who recharge you and don't drain you. Create something. Paint, draw, sing, dance, bake, sew, journal, scrapbook. Doesn't matter. Creative activities quiet the conscious mind and allow intuition to be heard. When you do creative activities, I don't know, for me, it feels like there's just a lot going on up here, right? Like this. Like when I'm doing a puzzle or I'm doing something creative, it takes part of that chatter and it siphons it off. And then the left is rest to just, I don't know, the image I have in my head is all the disparate parts of an idea laying around on the ground, and slowly they jump up together to form clarity, to form a cohesive thought, a cohesive feeling that you can get behind. That's what creating things, that's what spending time creating something does for you. It doesn't matter if your picture is great at the end of the day. It's not about what you create. It's the process. And here's a thought for you. Here's just a pro tip. Painting sounds like a big drag. You can use colored pencils. You can use crayons. It doesn't matter. Just do something creative. You like to paint, but it's a big mess. Paint rocks. The bomb. Tiny bits of paint, tiny little brushes, tiny little projects. Okay. The other thing, check in with your body. This is another way to develop your intuition. Check in with your body. Your body is a storehouse of information. Dr. Candace Pert wrote a book called, may she rest in peace, a huge neuroscientist who I learned a lot from. She wrote a book called The Molecules of Emotion that tells you exactly what's happening in your body as you process emotion. But even better than that, she wrote a book called Your Body is Your Subconscious. You don't need to know more than that, right? Your body is telling you what you need. So pay attention. Pay attention. When you're making decisions, are you getting a tingling or strange energy, right? If you're trying to make a decision and you're getting strange energies or strange feelings in your body, stop and pay attention. These are signals. These are signals. Do you get a sick feeling in your gut, a headache or diarrhea when you go near some subject? This is your body telling you. These are signals. Intuition. Danger, danger. Warning, real option. Breathe. On all the lists of how to get more in touch with ourselves, to be happier, to be more objective, to have more perspective, to have more gratitude. It doesn't matter. Everything we talk about ends up with a topic on breathing. Such an important topic, right? Something that connects us, connects every living thing is we breathe. Every living thing is we all breathe in one form or another, right? So breathing is an excellent way to train or to get in touch with intuition, because breathing is a great way to get in touch with your body and to begin the meditation process, to calm the chatter that's going on here, right? To calm the still chatter by breathing exercises. We call it breath work. And by paying attention to this breath work, by paying attention to what's going on there and focusing on the breath, you kind of pull down the chatter and pull that down into the breath. And that's you're getting in touch with your body, your sensations, your energy. And isn't that really what intuition is, right? Slow down, breathe more, listen more, take some time off. Nature, hug a tree, always for better intuition. These are all really the same ways of living in the moment, of getting rid of negative energy, right? Of being the master, the steward of what you allow to go on inside your head. Practice. You can practice intuition, right? Practice sensing things about people you meet or people you know. I often get messages about what people are struggling with when I meet them. I always threw these off. I always just ignored them and thought, well, I'm clever. I pay attention to details and I just see things that other people don't see. Well, maybe that is intuition, right? I'm discounting what I'm being told, the messages that are being sent to me. And I'm like, I'm not that smart. So intuition maybe is not always about developing it, but listening for it, being quiet enough, still enough to hear that little silent, still voice in front of us, right? But when you meet people, try to feel their energy, lean into them, listen, look closely. What do you sense, right? So I guess that's the message. Trust your gut. Don't call yourself crazy or clever or it's just a feeling, right? Instinct, or I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. Intuition is everything you know telling you what you need to do next. If we listen to it, right? When you make a decision, no matter how big or small, stop and feel. Do you want to, if you can't wait to get on with it, you made a decision, you can't wait to get to it and jump into it and get going, that's a pretty good sign of intuition that you're doing the right thing. If you make the decision and you feel it, you feel like that, I don't know, that's also a message. Stop. Go back. Pay attention. All right. So, before we go, the last thing I'll leave you with is two quick ideas on breath work. Two quick thoughts on breath to get yourself into a mindset that you want to start paying attention to intuition, right? One is called 4-7-8. And this is, you're going to breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, and breathe out 8. In for 4, hold it for 7 seconds, and then breathe out. Now, as you exhale for those 8 seconds, imagine excess energy releasing out of your mouth and light pouring through the top of your head. And that light goes all the way down your spine to your feet and through the earth so that you're connected at the top and the bottom, right? This slows down and calms your body, slows your heart rate, slows your nervous system. It's good for when you're nervous or anxious, or as Hazel says, you get the racing mind syndrome, right? This is a good way to break those patterns and stop. Just having a moment with yourself. It helps you it helps you create the space between breath and releasing the energy, right? That's where we learn who we are, in our in the space between breaths. That is the reality we want to learn to lean into, is the space we hold between breaths. So that breathing exercises is really good for helping us to just exist for those 7 seconds, right? Then another one is called from the Navy SEALs, and it's called the 4-4-4, or the square breathing. And basically you release all your air, and then you hold your breath for 4 seconds, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. This is an exercise that is designed to help you deepen concentration and heighten your efficiency and your performance. It's really good to push off stress relief too, but best to use this in the morning. This is an energy creator, right? So it says best to use this in the morning or maybe in the afternoon when you're starting to feel a little sleepy and you need a little recharge. If the Navy SEALs used it, it's good enough for us. So anytime you need an extra energy or attention or focus, you can go into these. And isn't it funny how it all seems to be related? Like I said, all the exercises of how to be happy, how to live in the moment, how to forgive, how to be more grateful, they all lead back to the same couple of ideas. So the conclusion today, pay attention to yourself. Act on feelings when they happen. When you get that little indication that says, well, I should call my Aunt Norma right now. Do it. Do it right then. Don't ignore those things. There's something going on. If you can't do it right now, do it soon. Write things down. Follow through. Meditation is the key. Even meditating for 3 to 5 minutes a day will help you lean into your gut instinct. And that is your intuition, right? Spend the time getting to know you. You're worth the investment of time, right? You're worth the time taken away from all the requirements of you, all the responsibilities, all the things you're supposed to be doing. You are in need, or we need to make sure we're taking care of the engine that's driving all that activity, taking care of all those folks, right? And taking care of that engine is you, taking time for you, taking time to get to know you. So we know intuition is our friend, helps us, guides us, makes decisions, keeps us out of trouble, makes good, keeps us keeps us from behaving impulsively. So to get the intuition, we're going to meditate. To meditate, we're going to breathe. And to breathe, we're going to know that we are loved and valued, and that spending time with God, with your breath, with yourself, going internally and exploring the space inside of there. Well, we're going to talk about that on another day when we talk about meditation, right? But it has value beyond what we get in those few minutes. So that's our show for today. Thank you for joining me, and great to be back in, I'll say the studio, but what I really mean is in my spare bedroom. No guests. The guests are gone. The vacation is over. Life is back to normal. So here we are, 5 days a week, chatting about happiness, sharing a cuppa of your favorite brew. Maybe it's tea time for you. Maybe it's coffee time. Maybe it's just break time. But this is our chance to have a few moments to talk about happiness. Think about happiness. Make some choices for happiness. Anyway, that's our show for today. Thank you for joining me. See you tomorrow. Until then, make it a happy day.